Japan is a country where the old world hides in plain sight. Shrines tucked between apartment buildings, winding alleys older than the roads that surround them, and tunnels carved decades ago that are no longer used but not quite forgotten. Among these relics is Fukiage Tunnel, a crumbling structure buried in the hills of Saitama Prefecture. To most, it's just an abandoned pass through a forested slope, but to those who know the stories, or who've been there themselves, it's something far worse. Some say a woman was murdered there. Others whisper about a body buried in the walls. The most persistent legend tells of a ghost in white, always just far enough away to make you doubt what you saw. Never moving, never approaching, just waiting. This is a story about 5 college students who went there one night for fun. A little courage test, a bit of ghost hunting. But by the time they left, none of them were laughing. Ren wasn't particularly superstitious. Neither were his friends. They were urban kids, Tokyo students who'd seen every found footage horror film the internet had to offer. Ghosts didn't scare them. Boredom did. So, when Koji suggested a late-night drive to a haunted tunnel he'd found on a Reddit thread, it didn't take long to round up the rest of the group. Ren, Soda, Yuki, and Shun. 5 friends with nothing to prove, but something to chase. A thrill. A scare. A story. They left the city just past midnight. It was late summer, one of those heavy August nights when the air sticks to your skin. The drive took about 2 hours, winding roads, no streetlights, and a forest that grew thicker the farther they went. Koji's directions took them off the main road and onto a gravel path lined with low shrubs and rusted signs. No traffic, no sound, but the gravel crunching beneath their tires. And then it appeared, framed by the trees like a forgotten mouth carved into the earth. The tunnel. Short, narrow, almost swallowed by the dark. Fukiage Tunnel. They parked a few meters away and cut the engine. The silence rushed in like water. The forest around them felt paused. Not quiet like the countryside. This was something different. It was the kind of silence that felt placed, like a lid over sound. The usual night chorus, cicadas, frogs, wind through leaves, had vanished. The air was heavier near the tunnel, stale and damp like the inside of a sealed cave. The scent of moss and rust clung to the walls, and the asphalt beneath their feet was soft at the edges, cracked and overgrown in places where no tires had passed in years. Above the tunnel entrance, vines crawled across the concrete like veins. A rusted metal plaque bore the name Fukiage Tunnel. It looked less like infrastructure and more like a scar, something the land had tried to close but couldn't. For a full minute, none of them moved. No one said it out loud, but it was clear. No one wanted to take the first step in. Ren stayed back a moment longer than the rest. Something about the air near the entrance felt wrong, cooler than the rest of the forest. Not refreshing. More like standing in front of an open refrigerator. A chill that didn't match the summer night. As he looked into the tunnel, his eyes caught something strange. For just a moment, standing beyond the flashlight's reach, he thought he saw the outline of a figure. Pale, still, dressed in white. Then the flashlight shifted, and the shape was gone. A trick of the light, maybe. He said nothing. Koji clicked on his camera. Yuki pulled out his phone. 5-minute walkthrough, Koji said. One end to the other, in and out. It sounded simple. They entered single file, flashlights sweeping side to side. The walls were damp, cracked in places. Flecks of old paint curled like dry skin. A faint, sour smell hung in the air, metallic and old, like rusted pipes or something worse. No graffiti, no signs of animals, just the tunnel swallowing sound and space. Shun laughed nervously. Is it weird how quiet it is? No one answered. A few meters in, they passed a side alcove, just a square recess in the concrete wall, barely wide enough for a person to stand in. Soda shined his flashlight inside. Empty. They kept walking. Just before reaching the other side, Soda stumbled and dropped the flashlight. It clattered against the ground, skidding sideways and sending its beams spinning across the tunnel wall, and then across something else. For a split second, the light caught what looked like the edge of a long white sleeve, vanishing just beyond a curve in the tunnel. They froze, unsure if they'd all seen it. No one moved. The beam settled on the wall again. Shun picked up the flashlight without a word. They emerged from the far end of the tunnel into darkness that felt somehow thinner than what they'd just walked through. Someone joked half-heartedly about ghosts. Someone else lit a cigarette. Then they turned and walked back in. The second pass felt different. Not colder, not louder, just heavier. Their footsteps echoed strangely, out of sync, like someone else was following a beat behind them. Ren looked over his shoulder more than once. Each time, there was no one there. About halfway through, Koji's camera glitched. Screen static, battery draining fast. Yuki's phone froze, then turned off completely. There was a sound then. Soft, barely audible, like breathing. And under that, something else. A rustle of fabric. The faintest swish, as if someone had just turned to walk deeper into the dark. No one said a word. They didn't run, but they didn't linger. Back at the car, they tried to laugh it off. Maybe the battery died because Koji forgot to charge it. Maybe the tunnel's damp air messed with their electronics. Maybe the flashlight beam had just hit the wall at a strange angle. They talked a little louder than usual. As Koji started to pull away from the tunnel entrance, Ren glanced out the passenger window. At the edge of the trees, just beyond the fading shadows of the tunnel, stood a pale figure. A woman in white, motionless, watching them leave. Ren blinked, and she was gone. He didn't say anything. That night, none of them slept well. Ren reported waking up to faint knocking on his bedroom window on the 3rd floor. When he pulled back the curtain, there was nothing there. But across the street, just under a flickering street lamp, he thought he saw someone standing still in the road. Shun's dog barked at the closet for nearly an hour straight. Yuki's phone turned on by itself and began playing the recording they'd taken in the tunnel. Only it wasn't what they remembered. It was just static, intercut with a woman's voice. Whispers, breathing. They all agreed not to talk about it, but they all knew. Something had followed them. Weeks passed. The footage was corrupted. Photos wouldn't load. The sounds faded. The dreams became less frequent, but the feeling never fully left. Even now, if someone mentions the tunnel, Ren finds himself looking toward the window, just to be sure. He hasn't returned. None of them have. The Fukiage Tunnel is still there, easy to find if you know the right back roads. There's no fence, no warning signs, just the quiet suggestion that maybe you shouldn't go any farther. Some who visit say they feel nothing, others say they feel watched. And maybe if you're unlucky, you'll see her. The woman in white, standing still at the edge of the dark, watching. Not every haunted place screams at you. Some just wait, quietly. If this story left you uneasy, let us know in the comments and subscribe to Room for Horror for more true inspired tales from the shadows. We'll keep the light on for you.